I'm gonna be reacting to exploring subways in horror media and beyond. Alright, I don't know what to really expect, but I'm really excited. Oh hell no. Yo, what the helly? No, but like on a genuine note, what the fuck is this? Oh my bad, I almost forgot about the quality. I think at least enhance bitrate, right? Do I have to pay for that? Oh my fucking god, I really do have to pay for that. My bad. Does that improve it? I can't find anything else. If I want it to be improved, I would have to pay. Okay.
There are some places around us that we rarely stop and think about.
Sorry, my bad, guys. I literally had to pause the video because I had to remove the subtitles right here. I forgot I had them on. Alright, my bad. Back to the video.
Places made to be traversed without paying them much attention, that simply connect a starting point to a destination, the real focus of our commutes. We encounter and go through these transitory places almost every day. They could be bus stations, rest stops along a highway, or the highways themselves and the open country that surrounds them. Airport terminals, waiting rooms, parking lots, and well, it's actually hard to give a lot of examples, because by their own nature they tend to just slip out of our memory after we've passed through. And by this logic, we could also call them non-places, because while yes, they do exist in a physical space, they very seldom occupy our psychological space. I find myself often fascinated by these forgettable corridors of everyday life, and the one in which I've been the most often and for some reason I can't ignore is probably the subway. There's
The subway, or in this case, the subways. But I'm just gonna give a brief explanation on my opinion before he says anything about subways. I think like subways are very fascinating, like especially when you take them late at night. It can be very fucking creepy because you never know what kind of people you're gonna meet at night at the train station, right? So like the subways, you can like during the day they can be a very good place to get from one place to another, like that kind of thing. But at night, it's like it kind of gives off like backroom vibes because random people spawn in. You don't know whether you are gonna get killed or you're gonna get chased around or whatever. And 'cause I'm from a big city, at night being on the subway at night in the US is not really the best. So let's just say it doesn't go that great.
just something about subways in particular, isn't there? The low, oppressing ceilings, the grating LED lights, the mysterious and dark tunnels whence noisy steel worms come from and disappear to, the feeling of being completely cut off from the surface world in a
Oh my God, that is true. You feel like you're not interacting with anybody on the top of the train station. Like, before you go down into the train station to take the train, it kind of feels different. It's like you live, well, you don't live, but you enter a different kind of world.
space where time would seem to stand still if it wasn't for the frenzy of hundreds of commuters trying to get
No, this is real. It do be like that, I'm not gonna lie.
someplace. There's just something fascinating about them, at least for weirdos like me. Now, don't get me wrong, I mostly despise
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Oh, hell nah.
subways in real life, especially in densely populated cities. If you're not being squished like you're going through the Amiga
Oh, hell nah. What the hell?
fault while smelling the most horrendous scents that human beings could ever conjure, in which regular BO would actually come across as a blessing because at least you know what it is, then you're probably being pickpocketed or harassed by some feral crackhead. It's true.
It's actually true though. I've never experienced it where I've been harassed by a crackhead, but I've seen videos on Instagram, right, of people getting harassed by crackheads. Personally, I would never be able to deal with that. Where I live, like in my neighborhood, there's like a few crackheads, but they don't attack you at the train station, but they attack you outside on the street. Like, bro, they start throwing hands at you. They start following you around. But I'm surprised that he literally included a video from Russia or here.
About those rare times where you find the subway strangely empty. Maybe it's late in the evening, or it's a moment where almost everyone is at their jobs or in school, or maybe it's simply because that particular subway line or station is not often used. That's when you might get a strange little feeling, a sense of isolation and maybe vulnerability.
You know what? He's onto something about having that sensation of being like lonely or vulnerable. That happened to me during like I don't I don't know if you remember like the pandemic, but yeah, it I know it's like very dumb for me to say that, but yeah, yeah. Going back to what I was gonna say, I literally had that whole feeling during the entire pandemic, where at times I would feel lonely and vulnerable because they were reporting people getting pushed off the platform in my city, like the train platforms, and not like this. And there were times like days at a certain times where there wouldn't be anybody, or there would be a few people, but there wouldn't be a lot of people because of the pandemic. The pandemic forced people to stay inside, so there's that.
You might get the feeling that something is lurking just out of sight, especially in those dark, deep tunnels. Now,
No, that's actually true. I've always had that feeling about the deep tunnels, like the deep dark ones. Like where you see the train go into after it leaves the train station. I've always had that same feeling. Like, bro, you never know what the fuck is in the tunnels.
realistically, we understand where those tunnels go. They're just a net of railways through which the trains pass. Or at least that's what they tell us. But nobody in their right mind would go out there and explore them because, other than being very much
That's me. I'm not gonna lie, that's me at times when I literally come up with theories like that, like the same theories that the guy's mentioning right now.
illegal, it's also pretty darn dangerous. But there's just something about them, about the way that an incoming train pushes the air out of the darkness, almost as if it was the breath of a giant beast, that personally makes my hair stand on end when I think about it. This is also why I've always been weirdly drawn to representations of subway in any type of media, be it movies, games, or other forms of art and
This is the main reason why I clicked on the video, because what the fuck is this? You see how weird this is? This seems like a combination between what is the thing? When like creepypasta meets the backroom. Like I feel like this could be a backroom level. Like you know what I mean? This seems to be like I might be looking too deep into this, but it kind of gives off like human bodies attached to this. Like on this side though, just like right here to here, like right here, right here. And then the rest is just like the lining of the stomach. And it goes like this. But the thing that intrigues me the most is why this humanoid figure is here. I feel like this could be a backrooms room, well, or level, or whatever. It's man weird. Like it's so uncanny, cause you can just imagine like how weird this must feel. Like imagine you were in this drawing. Like oh hell no. Like bro, I don't know. It just feels weird looking at the drawing.
general. There's something alluring about taking a space that is already in itself so strange and unnatural, but also unremarkable in its transitory essence, and displaying it in a fictional reality. That's why today I wanted to go over some iconic representations of subways from various mediums, and basically rate their vibes, I guess. That
I was about to say, because I didn't know where the video was going until he just mentioned it right now that he's gonna be ranking the representation of like different subways in different representations of media. Okay, I feel like that's much better because I thought he was gonna be like just generally just talking about it, but he wasn't gonna be doing anything like ranking them at all. He was just gonna be like, oh, I think in this media, this and blah blah blah. But okay, this kind of makes more sense.
and pointlessly gush about such a random and useless topic.
Part one, spooky subways. Okay, seems interesting. All right, let's get into it.
Now, video games are obviously one of the most immersive mediums in which to display
It is true. It is true.
any type of space, so that's where I want to start. Silent Hill 3.
Interesting. Never heard about the game, but sure. Let's see what he has to say about this.
So, I just recently found out that apparently everybody fucking hates the subway level in Silent Hill 3. Well, looking at the kind of stuff that I've covered in the past, is it any wonder that I actually love it? The subway is basically the second location that you visit in game.
I'm not gonna lie, this kind of giving off New York City vibes, especially the train stations found in Manhattan.
Right after the starting mall, which in itself is also a vibe at times. What struck me while playing was the way in which it breaks up the pacing of the early game. You see, for those that haven't played the third Silent Hill but are maybe more familiar with the second entry because you're normies,
Okay, before it froze or paused the video, whatever. But I would never know anything about Silent Hill. I've never played the game, that's a bit shocking to anybody who has played the game. But personally, I have never played the game. Never had any interest in doing so, and you know, so that's the main reason why I've never played the game or any of the other new games that came out that are based around Silent Hill.
the two games are quite different when it comes to atmosphere and general horror. Silent Hill 2 is dreary, depressing, and as exciting as a retirement home. It lets you soak in its emptiness and really makes you feel isolated. The enemies are mostly kinda slow and not that terrifying.
Okay, I thought it was the opposite of that. They would have been a little bit faster and more terrifying.
Silent Hill 3 is more like,
Oh wow, Silent Hill 3 is more. How would you say it? It's more action packed. There's a lot more things going on. Bro, that is scary. My phone that has turned on, the Siri literally activated. I didn't even say anything.
it will rarely give you a break, and you realize that immediately.
Well, what I did not mention is that it literally turned on by itself. It's like somebody turned it on. I wasn't even touching it. It's on the other side of my bed, like further away from me. And the fact that it actually turned on by itself without me having to even touch it or like having like my headphones on. Maybe it's just because I said something in English and then since I have my Siri in Spanish, that's really why it turned on.
It's much more of an in-your-face horror experience, for better or for worse.
Okay.
This is why it's so jarring that the subway level is sandwiched between the terrifying mall, which throws you suddenly in the deep end, and the worst place ever, aka the underpass.
What the hell is this? One big eye, one one big eye on top of a small eye torso, long eye legs. Bro, who comes up with these ideas, bro? It looks like, bro, it looks like they just stole the concept of what's it called, those mannequins at the mall, and they just put like a big eye on top of that. On top of that, they're like, you know what? Instead of having like a big, my bad. So like, returning back to what I was saying, somebody literally said, "Let me just put a big eye on top of that." I was gonna show it, but I don't really care. But basically, it's just a weird ass concept. Having one big eye on top of a little torso, and then the torso being connected to massive long legs. It kind of reminds me of just chickens, like the farm chickens. I know it's a weird comparison, but I don't know. That's what it just reminds me of.
Yeah, really fucking silent. Thanks. It's jarring because the subway is almost empty. There's
Well, I was gonna say something, but never mind.
only a few enemies, and for the most part, they're pretty easy to avoid. It's also mostly normal, so to speak. There's only a few rooms in the nightmare dimension. You can see how this might
Wait, hold up. This is a nightmare dimension? Is it telling me this part of the level for Silent Hill 3 has another part of it called the Silent Dimension? Because There's a normal one, and then there's a silent. Okay. A bit weird.
Might turn people off if they came expecting le spooky blood pumping horror.
A bit weird, but okay. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared myself. I'm literally in my own room, and I'm literally scared my own self. Bro, the whole thing is making sounds by itself. I don't know. It's just a room.
So why does it work so well in my opinion? I'm glad you asked. I think that the level is perfectly sandwiched for the early game. It's like lettuce, you know? It might not taste like much, but it has texture and definitely
So he's basically. Wait, hold up. I'll just let him finish, and then I'll give my opinion at the end.
improves the whole thing. For those who don't know, in the early game, Heather's, that's our protagonist's objective, is basically to get home to her father. She wakes up inside a mall after having a nightmare, and when she tries to leave, a detective starts pestering her, trying to get him off her tail.
Wait, why is there a detective at the mall this late at night, though? So she's trying to get away from him.
Heather sneaks out of a bathroom window and gets back into another area of the mall. Very
Okay. So she comes across the detective, decides to run away from. Well, not run away. I guess, yeah, like, cause she did have to get away from him, and then re-enter the same mall that she literally just got out of to get back in the mall.
soon, though, she comes across a hideous, twisted being, and
See, that's a plot twist. How does she come across this in the same mall? Did she enter the other dimension that the guy mentioned earlier in the video?
from that moment on, everything goes awry pretty fast. The mall is now filled with monsters, more numerous and
What the hell is that?
quicker than you'd expect after playing the first
Hey, yo? It just looks like he's doing something. I don't want to say it. It just doesn't look right. What is he doing to her?
two entries in the series, and her pea shooter of a pistol is not a very reliable weapon, so you find yourself frantically running around the level among
My bad. Back to what he was saying earlier in the video. This one. This part of the video, I mean.
does it work so well in my opinion? I'm glad you asked. I think that the level is perfectly sandwiched for the early game. It's like lettuce, you know? It might not taste like much, but it has texture.
So, in this part of the video, what I was gonna say is that what he was trying to say was that in the subway part of the level for Silent Hill 3, basically, it's hmm, like, it's not as complicated as the rest of the other levels, in my opinion, Um, it kind of gives you something like substance. It gives you some substance, like some sort of a transition from one area to another area. Like it's not bad, but it's not good. It's in between. It's okay. Like that kind of thing.
And definitely improves the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Let me just get back to where I left off. What the hell? Oh, here we go.
You do escape, but the message that
Wait, I skipped a little bit too hard. Here we go.
the bathroom window and gets back into another area of the mall. Very soon, though, she comes across a hideous, twisted being, and from that moment on, everything goes awry pretty fast. The mall is now filled with monsters, more numerous and
My thing I didn't ask before was, could this be a dog? It seems to be a dog, but it seems to be another creature. I mean, it doesn't really have to be a dog, but you know, we're asking the question anyway.
quicker than you'd expect after playing the first two entries in the
It never gets old because, hey, yo, what is, yo, I swear to God, bro, I'm too dirty-minded for this.
series, and her pea shooter of a pistol is not a very reliable weapon, so you find yourself frantically running around the level among the most putrid and horrid sound design you've ever heard, trying to
I know that, yo, the fact that I literally paused the video and then these two NPCs appeared and they literally, okay, so these are dogs, but this does seem funny, bro. Look, the way it has its head open. You can't make this up, bro. I didn't even do this on purpose.
Find the objects needed for your escape. Eventually, you do escape.
See, and then I paused it again. What is this? I don't even know what that's supposed to be. I'm not even gonna ask what that is.
The message that the game gives you seems loud and clear. This ain't your grandma's Silent Hill. This one's gonna raise your blood pressure.
Okay, see, this is a bit funny. This one's gonna raise your blood pressure. I feel like he's right.
To
Anyway,
continue in her quest to get back home, Heather needs to take the subway in the direction of Bergen
bro, of course this PDF file is literally right behind her.
Street, so we go underground. And here I was dreading what would come next. My stress levels were already high enough. I honest to God thought that if I got through the gates without getting a ticket, the game would troll me by launching enemies
This would be interesting talking about the game was gonna throw enemies his way just because he didn't pay the fare.
my way. But as you start exploring, you realize that
That's even more funny. This bitch empty. But fair, yeah.
well, okay, not completely. You do find a bunch of dogs in a couple of places and a pair of these losers.
See, I still can't get over that. What is that? What the hell is that? Look at this.
After them all, you probably know how to evade them, and you even have more space here, so that's no.
Okay, hey yo. Just I can't get over this, bro. Why was it moving like that? Why was the head moving like that?
Biggie. You do also find this large muchacho, but he's kind of a pushover if you use a shotgun or
What is that? Hold up. Let me see that.
just run. What I love so
Bro, that just looks like a big baby. Alright.
much about this level is exactly the way that it throws you for a loop. You might have just gotten used to the pacing of the mall and might be expecting the same type of horrid vibes here, but no. The game basically slows down to Silent Hill 2 levels, and the real enemy you'll have to contend with is the map.
Oh, wow. Instead of having to contend with the NPCs that you would expect to find in the mall, the map is your biggest enemy.
Because navigating this place is not very intuitive. And also, well, the trains themselves, which seem to show up only when you're on the tracks. Now, yes, some might say it's just poor level design, that everything looks
You know what? And I think it could be.
samey and flat, and that's why it becomes so maze-like. But to me, it all seems quite purposeful. For the whole time
You don't see.
you spend down there, you keep expecting something crazy to happen.
I'm not gonna lie. If that was me playing the game, I would have had the same reaction too. Because tell me why, based off this whole thing, like right now with the guy singing the video, and based off like from what I can see right now, I would also be like, I'm expecting something to come out from the darkness and try to start chasing me down or try to kill me, you know?
For everything to turn nightmarish and to have to fight your way out.
Exactly, literally what I was just saying. Like somewhat, but you get the point.
But it doesn't. The game really toys with us players and lets our imagination
Oh, so I mean, the game relies more on what's it called? Psycho. I can't even say it right, but like it kind of plays like a mental, like it kind of does that thing where it plays with your imagination, like makes you think something. It's like doing that psychological trick where it makes you think something based off the environment. So based off how the environment is, it's making you think a certain type of way. So you expect something to happen, right? But that never happens because it's playing around with your what is it again? But it just plays around with your imagination.
and expectations become our worst enemy. The fact that it's also kind of hard to navigate only adds to the panic one might experience. You want to get out of there as soon as possible, but will probably keep getting turned around, making you constantly more and more desperate, feeling like a rat inside a maze. Obviously, for horror's sake, we also can't ignore just how good the sound design is. Just like throughout the whole game, it's just chef's kiss, especially if you're wearing headphones and realize that the audio is actually surround. There's also a couple of interesting interactive papers scattered around. The first has an article about a subway
Bro, I literally paused it because I was gonna say something, but then I just realized it's not as important. Alright, anyway, back to the video. I'm gonna go back a few minutes. Not a few minutes, a few seconds, my bad. Let me just use the mouse instead. I don't got time for this. Here we go.
Wearing headphones and realize that the audio is actually surround. There's also a couple of interesting interactive papers scattered around. The first has an article about a subway incident, the second is an occult magazine.
In a cult magazine?
After interacting with these, you go down to the
New York, hello?
platform and witness the scene of somebody pushing Heather on the tracks.
My thing is, who pushed her though? I guess I'll never know.
When you regain control, you hear a train coming, so you quickly scamper to get back up on the platform. And that's it. You have no idea of who pushed you and if they're still around.
That's it? Bro, that was so boring.
Just a really cool touch that adds to the feeling of unease. The rest is mostly just the oppressive
So she just got pushed by... Never mind, she just got pushed by the wind then. Casper said, not today.
atmosphere of the subway, which looks really like any other old subway, only completely deserted.
He's right. You know, I literally keep mentioning, but this literally is... It kind of gives off New York City vibes. The train station, the way it's laid out. Like the way the signs and the whole thing is designed, it kind of reminds me of a few train stations that I've seen throughout the city.
Again, the low ceilings that press down on you.
Yeah, see this, look. This kind of reminds me of some train stations I've seen in the Bronx and Manhattan. And then the way this thing is, Concourse reminds me of Concourse in the Bronx, Grand Concourse.
The creating LED lights, the dark corners in which anything could be lurking, and all of that good stuff. There's really only one other notable moment that precedes the end of this level, where you finally get to the right platform and the camera suggestively points to the red door. You climb.
Okay, before he says anything else, that's a bit weird. That the camera, I know it's part of the game, but it's a bit weird that the camera tilts like that and it shows like a big red door. I mean, this is part of the game where it's building up suspense and something big is gonna happen. Like, well, I assume, right? Something big is gonna happen. Alright, let's see. Let's see if it actually ends up happening. I'm actually a little bit excited. My bad for the stuttering if I did stutter, but you know, I'm a little bit excited to see what happens.
Down and may think you're home free. But that's when the game decides to troll your ass once more. The door is locked and
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, that shit is funny. The game decides to troll your stupid ass.
as soon as you interact with it, you hear the sound of the train come. 3 monster dogs run at you. Thanks, Silent Hill 3. I love it. But after surviving this, you can finally get
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, that was funny. Kinye popped up.
at you. Thanks, Silent Hill 3. I love
Look, Kinye.
it. But after surviving this, you can finally get on the train. Yeah, you'll still have to navigate the train cars and send.
What the hell? What the Yo, what the fuck is that? It reminds me of one of those disgusting things from the what's it called? The the Skibidi toilet memes. I think it's called the cameraman. Yeah, it kinda reminds me of
a
that.
few fools to
Okay, never mind, I take my comment back. It's that disgusting anorexic looking thing. The sewer.
Jones' locker, but it's not too stressful. So you might breathe a sigh of relief and think, maybe this is more like Silent Hill 2, and the first level was just meant to open the game with a bang. And just as your blood pressure lowers, you get to the underpass, and oh my god, oh stop it, oh no! It's basically the most stressful level yet.
Based off his commentary, it does seem stressful. Bro, if I had to face off against those disgusting eye-looking things again, well, I'm dead. I deadass said that, acting as if I played the game. But no, like if I had to go up against those type of NPCs in the game, I'm not gonna lie, I would be very stressed too.
The bang. And just as your blood pressure lowers, you get to the underpass, and oh my god!
The way he said, "Oh my God," is funny. I'm not gonna lie. You can't even lie. It's very funny.
It's basically the most stressful level yet. And so that is why the subway is such a memorable part of the game for me. Taken on its own, yeah, it is arguably kind of mid.
Okay, yeah, yeah. He's not wrong about that. I was gonna say that, well, after he finished this section of the video, which is actually true. It's kind of mid. It's not bad, but it's not. How would you say it? It's not entertaining.
The design is nothing to write home about and
Facts.
nothing really significant happens. But
Mm-hmm. He literally mentioned that, and I think he's right. Literally, I've been seeing the whole thing. It's not even nothing significant happened apart from those disgusting
the way
eyeball
in which it
things.
is used, tricking you into thinking that the game might be calmer than you thought, just to pull the rug from under your feet immediately in the next level, really elevates it from like a C+ to an A for me. But
Okay.
you know who else is trying to take the subway to Bergen Street? Jacob from Jacob's Ladder. How's that for a segue? Now, let's be clear here. Without Jacob's Ladder, there'd be no Silent Hill as we know it.